Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Adnan and I am a student in the University of Human Development. Today I will talk about natural language processing. My outlines are Introduction to Natural Language Processing, Text Mining and NLP, Application of NLP, Components of NLP, various steps in NLP, and finally NLTK. Well, human beings are the most advanced species on the earth, and there is no doubt in that. And our success as human beings is because of our ability to communicate and share information. That's where the concept of developing language comes in. And when we talk about the human language, it's one of the most diverse and complex part of us, considering a total of 6,500 languages that exists. So coming to the 21st century, according to the industry estimates, only 21% of available data is present in the structured form. Data is being generated like tweet and send messages on WhatsApp or various of crops of Facebook, and majority of this data exists in textual form, which is highly unstructured in nature. Now, in order to produce significant and actionable insights from this data, it's important to get acquainted with the techniques of text analysis and natural language processing. So let's understand what is text mining and natural language processing. So text mining or text analytics is the process of deriving meaningful information from natural language text. It usually involves the process of structuring and the input text deriving and patterns within the structured data, and finally evaluating and interpreting the output. Now, on the other hand, natural language processing refers to the artificial intelligence method of communicating with an intelligent system using the natural language. As text mining refers the process of deriving high quality information from the text, the overall goal is here to essentially turn the text into data via the application of natural language processing. Statistical text mining and NLP go hand in hand. So let's understand some of the application of text mining or natural language processing. One of the first and most important application in the natural language processing is sentimental analysis, be it Twitter sentimental analysis or Facebook sentimental analysis, as it's used heavily right now. Next, we have the implementation of chatbot. You might have used the customer chat services by various companies, and the process behind of all of this is because of NLP. Now we have speech recognition, and here we are also talking about the diverse assistants like Siri and Google Assistant and Cortana. And the process behind all of this is also because of natural language processing. Machine translation also another use case of natural language processing, and the most common example for it is Google Translate, which uses NLP to translate data from one language to another. We have another application also like spell checking and keyword search, information extraction, and advertisement matching, basically recommendation of ads based on your history. NLP is divided into two major components, that is natural language understanding and natural language generation. To understand, the understanding generally refers to mapping the given input into natural language into useful representation and analyzing those aspects of language, whereas generation is a process of producing meaningful phrases and sentences in the form of natural language from some internal representation. The natural language understanding is usually harder than the natural language generation because it takes a lot of time and a lot of things to usually understand a particularly, especially if you are not a human being. Now here there are various steps involved in the natural language processing, which are tokenization, stemming, lemmatization, POS tags, named entity recognition, and chunking. Let's start with the tokenization. What is tokenization? Tokenization is a process of operating strings into tokens, which turn in a small structure or units, and that can be used for tokenization. So if you have a look at this example here, things taking this sentence into consideration, it can be divided into 7 tokens, and this is very useful for the natural language processing part. Now coming to the second process in the natural language processing, which is stemming. Stemming usually refers to normalizing the word into the base or the root form. So if you look at those words, affection, affects, affections, affected, affection, and affecting, all of these words originate from single root word, which is effect. Stemming algorithm works by cutting off the end or the beginning of the word, taking into account list of common prefixes or suffixes that can be found in effect word. This indiscriminate cutting can be successful in some occasions, but not always. So let's understand the concept of lemmatization now. Lemmatization, on the other hand, takes into consideration the morphological analysis of the word. So it's necessary to have detailed dictionary which the algorithm can look through to the link the form back its original word or the root word, which is also known as lemma. Now the lemmatization is groups together different inflected forms of the word called lemma, and somehow it's similar to stemming. It mapped several words into one comma root, but the major difference between them is that output of lemmatization is a proper word. For example, lemmatizer should map the word gone, going, and went into go. That will not be the output of stemming. Now, once we have the tokens and once you have divided the tokens into the root form, next come to POS tags. So now, generally speaking, the grammatical type of word is referred to a POS tag or passes of speech. Be it verb, noun, adjective, or adverb, and many more. It indicates how word functions in meaning as well as grammatically within the sentence. A word can have more than one part of speech based on the context of it's based on the context in which it is used. For example, let's take the sentence of Google something on the internet. Here, Google is used as a verb and also it's used as a proper noun. And this is some of the problems that occurs while processing the natural language. Now, to overcome all of this, we have the named entity recognition, also known as NER. So it's the process of detecting named entities such as the person name, the company names, which we have also the quantities or location. It has 3 steps which are the noun phrase identification and the phrase classification and the entity disambiguation. So if you look at the particular example here, Google CEO Kawa introduced the new Pixel at New York Central Mall. So Google is the organization, Kawa is a person, and New York is the location. Central Mall is also identified as the organization. Now once we divided the sentence into tokens, done the stemming and the lemmatization, add the tags as a name entity recognition, it's time for us to group it back together and make sense out of it. So for that we have chunking. So chunking is basically means picking up individual pieces of information and grouping them into the bigger pieces. Now these bigger pieces are also known as the chunks. In the context of NLP, means grouping of words or tokens into chunks. So as you can see here, we have pink as an adjective and panther as a noun and they as a determiner, and all of this together chunked into phrase. Now this helps in getting insights and meaningful information from the given text. And finally, we can execute all of these programs and all of this function of the given text file So we use NLTX by Python. So what is NLTK? It's a natural language toolkit library which is heavily used for all the natural language processing and the text analysis. Thanks for watching. I hope this video were useful for you. Take care.